Hey there, Kyle again from Pure Storage, and welcome to the final part of our three-part series on using VMware Cloud Foundation with Pure Storage in Equinix Metal. In this one, we're going to deploy a VMware Cloud Foundation workload domain using iSCSI and vVols. The two previous videos showed how to set up and add ESXi hosts to our SDC manager's inventory. You can see we've got our VASA provider set up, which we actually used in the previous video as well, but we're going to use it again here. And with that, we can also see that we have made some DNS entries for our workload hosts, our ESXi entries, as well as vCenter, which you can see at the bottom there. So those have all been reverse and forward DNS lookups have been made. So we're ready to go with the workload domain deployment. We'll select vVols as our type. We'll give it a name. I'll just give it a workload domain 1 as the name, and we'll call it Pure Storage on Equinix, or Pure Storage Equinix. We'll give it a cluster name. And then we need to put in our FQDN. This is a good test to make sure that your DNS is set up correctly, because as we can see, the IP address automatically resolved. We'll put in a root password and confirm it. And then we'll follow suit with our NSXT management. We'll have our VIP, and then we've also got our individual managers as well. So we'll start with the first one, the cluster FQDN, and as you can see, the IP address is resolving correctly, so we know that DNS is set up properly. We will give it an administrative password. And then for our host overlay networking, we have a VLAN set up for that. You can use static or DHCP within Equinix Metal. It's up to you. In this case, I'm going to choose to use static, but either option works fine. Give it a name. I'll call it host overlay. Give the CIDR of the network. And then we'll provide a static range. Make sure you give it enough for your ESXi hosts. I believe it needs 2 per host, so in this case we will need a minimum of 6 IP addresses. But we'll go ahead and give it 20 just to be safe. And then last but not least, we give it the gateway IP address for our host overlay network and click next. From here, we select our vVol storage, iSCSI again. Here's our VASA provider, our vVol container, our username, and then we give the vVol data store name as well. We'll automatically show hosts that are available for this function, which we can see there. I'll blank out my licenses, and then we can just confirm all of our naming convention and everything looks good. And then last but not least, review everything that we've selected previously, and then click finish. With that, that'll kick off the workload domain deployment process. Typically, it takes somewhere about an hour, especially if you are deploying a net new NSXT instance versus joining an existing one. If we click into this actual workload domain deployment, we can see here we have completed it. I did skip ahead there. It did take about an hour and a half to complete in this instance. You can see that there are services. I'll navigate into VMware vSphere, into our new workload domain deployment, just to make sure we can get into it. And here we can see the cluster is operational and up and running. Thank you so much for watching and this series, and please check out Equinix Metal or our Pure Storage platform guide for a lot more information about this. Thanks again.